Hello, this is Mrs. Clammers. I was just going to make a short little video about what your children are learning in math class. And so this is going to be a little video about figures with a known area and how they would go about solving that. So this would be a question that your child is seeing now in math class. So it is given you the area of a figure, either a rectangle or a square, and they have got to find out the length or the width of the figure. And so in this question, it says that the area of the square is 100 yards. Find the length of one of its sides. So what I tell them to do first is to draw the figure. So you know it's a square. And I ask, what do you know about squares? And they'll tell me that all the sides are the same. And then I will also ask, what is the formula that you would use to find area? And they know that area equals length times width, and then the area is given to us. So what I tell them to do is substitute the A, for that stands for area, with the 100 square yards that was given to us in the problem. And then that would equal length times width. What we do not know is what is the length and what is the width. We don't know those two components. So what we would do is we would say, all right, well, 100 equals the length times the width. Well, we don't know either of those. And so go back to what we know about a square, whatever the length is up here, it has to be the exact same as the width because all of the sides are equal. And so we know it has to be the same number. So what I would ask is, what number times what number gives us 100? And we know 10 times 10 equals 100. So this is definitely where if they do not know their facts for multiplication, that will come into play, and you kind of notice that. So hopefully they're practicing their facts at home. And so in this problem, it tells us to ask us to find the length. So the length of the figure would be 10 yards squared. And they know it's squared because it is a perfect square. So that would be how you would solve if it were a square. Now, the next thing would be the area of a rectangle. And this one kind of gets them, kind of trips them up because this is very new for them. And so like I said with the square, we have to start with drawing it. So here is the area of a rectangular garden. Well, rectangular we know is a rectangle. And then what do we know about a rectangle? Well, parallel sides are equal. So those two sides are equal length, and then your width would be also equal length. I also tell them to remember that the length would be the longest side, and the width in a rectangle would be kind of your smaller side. So it gives us the area of the garden, and it is 84 square meters, and its width is also given to us. So I tell them to make sure they label along the way. So its width is 7. I'm going to make that a darker color. Oops, sorry. All right, so its width is 7. Well, we know with a rectangle that this side is equal to this side, so we can go ahead and label what we know. That will help them when they get to talking about perimeter for the next video. So I just label what we know. So we do not know the length. We don't know this length, and it wants us to find the length. So first I tell them to use their formula and use what they know. So we know area equals length times width. And the area was given to us, so it's 84. And the length we do not know, but the width the W, we can plug in our 7. So we have 84 equals length times 7. So kind of a way I can explain it is that we want to get the numbers on the same side, and so the letter is all alone. And so how we do that is we do the opposite equation. So the opposite, or the opposite operation. And the opposite operation of multiplication would be division. So if I want to move the 7 over by the 84, I could say 84 divided by 7, because that's the opposite operation to get the numbers together, equals the length. And so they would have to do 84 divided by into 7 groups. And so they could use partial quotient to find that. And 84 divided by 7 we know is 12. So the length here equals 12. So this seems kind of simple, but then when we throw perimeter in, a lot of students get confused. And so that's why I'm creating these short little videos. So a couple things to take away from this video is that when you are finding the area, we always use the formula, area equals length times width. And you always plug in the numbers that you know. And so with a square, you know that the length and the width have got to be exactly the same. And that is going to equal a number. So in our example, it was 100. And so we said, well, what number times itself equals 100? And so in our example, I used 10. And so the length or the width would be 10. And then in a rectangle, you draw it. You use what you know. Parallel sides are equal. And you can use your formula. So if your equation here was what we had back here, if your area was 84 equals the length, and we don't know the length, and the width is 2, we would plug in the 2 for the width. And, sorry, I think I said that wrong. We don't know the length, and we plug in the 2 for the width. And then in order to get this 2 by the 84, we can say that we're going to do the opposite operation in order to switch it over there, and 84 divided by 2 would give you the length.